get right at it. Dave, I know you were at the LifeHack meeting. I watched the video myself, and thank you for sharing with those guys. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I did not watch. I did not watch the video, and I guess I wasn't mentally prepared to present. So hopefully it came across okay. And I happened to have our web page up, so I pretty much read verbatim what our objectives were. You may have noticed I didn't get into the whole ReefNet boat concept yet. Didn't necessarily want to bring that up at that point in time. So, Lane, you were there, right? I think it went okay. It was just to inform them of what our thoughts are, what our plans are, and get them on board.
Yeah, it's always a fine line between keeping people informed and not really being ready for prime time. So I thought you did a good job of covering the high level without discussing things that are not ready to, be discussed. So well done.
Yeah, we're still doing that research.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But they seem receptive.
Go ahead.
And, want to include us in the next meeting and going forward, keep the discussion moving. So I thought that was good. And I thought Mary did a nice job presenting, her case later.
Okay.
Is this going to upset everybody if I turn myself sideways? I don't want to hold the phone all night.
No, you're good.
You get to look at my belt buckle and fat stomach.
So what I gathered from that meeting is that, yes, they are inviting our input and where we're going with things. As I understand it, I didn't hear any comments on doing any temporary addressing of the emergent need of some place for small boats to dock. I didn't hear anything. Did you guys hear anything on that?
No.
Okay.
No, it was pretty much one-sided, tell us what you guys are doing, right?
Okay.
Okay.
And it was, thank you for that, information.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So any other comments on report of the LifeHack meeting?
Just one thing I thought was very interesting, and I don't know if you listened to the whole thing, Chris, but Richie made a statement that I actually wrote down. And he said, we rely on one piece of equipment with the chief, and we know that the ferry is going to fail. And in reality, we're going to have a new ferry and it's going to break too.
Yeah.
This is from the master, right?
Sure.
And he's absolutely right. And so I think that gives us even more justification for proceeding with what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. It's a lot of new boats. I mean, you'll put them in the water and it's it will break something, and then you get that fixed, and then it'll go a long time and you're fine. So yeah, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, it is puzzling, and because I've seen that comment in Nextdoor, they're like, well, we'll just get the new ferry and everything, this won't be a problem. And my husband just burst out laughing. Big car guy. Like, really? You honestly think you buy a new car and that's drive it to one? So I really do think I was very curious as to whether there was a specific thing that Richie was responding to, because he also brought up this notion that the realities of living on an island, it seems as if over time people have managed to really downplay those realities. And we talked about it from our very first meeting. So I was actually making some notes myself this week about there's realities of living on an island. There's realities of doing business, running a business yourself on the island, realities of visiting the island, and realities of doing business with us on the island. And all of those are groups of people who I think of as like stakeholders who I understand that this is like, we're kind of like the informal Chamber of Commerce. We really want to encourage people to visit here. And you don't want to start the conversation with, we'd love to have you visit, but assume the ferry might be out of service. But I feel like that's really one of the, I don't know, public service benefits we could provide is by helping remind people that, in my mind, it's also encouraging dialogue. And if in the end, your plumber says, I can't come out to the island anymore. I got hit, with too many times that I got stuck there, or I couldn't get things done. That is sad, but I'd rather them have come into that with open, knowing that, instead of just, it caught me as a shock that I was caught. But it was interesting. I thought that Richie brought that up. I don't know if you heard it, Chris, but he and I don't know if I was hoping people hadn't been really ugly to the ferry crew during this whole thing.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. But I was concerned that it was because they'd had some negative interactions with people.
Well, there's always going to be somebody that is a pistol, but no, on the whole, I mean, the ferry crew has always been very helpful, and the islanders totally respect them and admire their willingness to do this work in miserable weather. But there will always be somebody that's a quirky person and may not be an islander, or they may be. Who knows?
And exactly. And on some levels, if you are, selling this paradise, come and have your vacation in paradise. And you're just offloading the responsibility for being upfront about what that can also mean as there's a downside to paradise. And then just expecting everyone else to, I don't know, make magic happen. I was just curious. I've also been looking at some of the other islands, and they're, some of the things that they've been working on to try to communicate that, including chambers of commerce who are trying to figure out ways of making doing a better job of presenting those realities.
Yeah, and that's something that Leica is actively working on, because it's important that people understand all of the aspects of living on the island, on any island.
Hi, Mary. Welcome.
Hi, it's very wet here.
You're on your sailboat, huh?
We're not down yet. We're going to go down the dock here in just a second. So I just wanted to be sure you guys were able to start, and it looks like it's recording and everything went well. So I'm going to sign off, and I'll be right back when I get down to the boat.
Okay.
I'll see if I've got enough bandwidth to be able to listen in. So, okay. Good. I'm glad you're talking. Okay. I'll be back as soon as I can. Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I definitely want to hear Mary's comments of what she thought of the meeting before we move on, obviously. I know I'm just going to add a little bit here myself. My perspective is the same since the beginning, along with what Alan, you were saying. The ferry crew are wonderful. Everyone involved on the island side is wonderful. Even the employees of Whatcom County, I think, are trying their best, but they are constrained by a lot of, constraining elements. There are a lot of things that they have to do by law, that they have to do by ordinance, and they just don't have the freedom to move like we do, obviously. And so to me, that, as one of you mentioned, bolsters our position that we need an alternative. It's just to make things better. It's not either or. It's hey, we need more opportunities than what we have at this point, and we can make it a reality. So I'm glad that you're all on board with working towards that. And that's the second element that I put. Did you guys have a chance to read the Word document I set out about the meeting?
The email about the the calls with Terry.
Yeah.
Kitchen with the, mhm.
Yeah.
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 So, and I don't know, does everybody have that viewpoint? What is your perspective on that? Do you believe we can now focus our attention, narrow our scope to what we actually can get accomplished rather than having it such a moving target?
Chris, just to be clear,
Yeah.
you're talking about that was a short summary of the conversation where you said we need to define our vision per se by, say, the end of January and let Terry take that and run with it. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
the reason why I'm
it's-
doing that, the reason why I suggest that is because Terry emphasized the fact that, the sooner they can get it, the sooner they can start moving forward with that information. And she's already delineated what we need to do in order to give her a good presentation. And
Yep.
thus those are those 7 steps. And, but, a lot involved in all of that. But it really frees us up too. We don't have to waste time with having another pile driving company come out. That's an unnecessary step because that's all stuff that's done down the line by them. We have nothing to do with it. We are
Right.
simply asking them to consider putting in a public doc and giving some visions of that, some ideas of what that would look like. And we've got to decide, do we want to include all islanders in that discussion of, okay, what should it look like? Do we make multiple descriptions of different ways of doing the docs? I'm
Yeah.
just throwing things out there. So that's kind of where I'm at on, let's get going, that ball rolling even more so on that part of it.
Yeah, and polling the populace is also a very good way to start on some of that, but we have to be careful how we word things.
Mhm.
Sure. Any thoughts on that, Nick?
Hold
All right.
on.
And Mary, when you get a chance too, we'd like to hear your report from the LIFAC meeting, if you'd like to give one on your perspective.
I can't
Mary,
quite tell if she's on audio yet.
Yeah, I see she's,
No, she's muted.
maybe she's trying to move or something. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Sound like Nick was driving.
I'm walking down a very wet dock, so as soon as I get down to the boat, I'll turn on again, but I'm trying to listen.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. No
Okay.
slipping and falling.
I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. Okay, bye.
Okay, note to the committee, we need an aluminum dot grating with,
Skid, free, no. Yeah,
Anti-slip.
thank you. Not
Yeah.
skidding. We don't want skidding. That's right.
The only
Non-skid.
problem with that anti-skid stuff, it works well until you fall, and then you get road rash for days from it.
That's called a meat grinder when you fall on
Yeah.
that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good until you fall.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to move the agenda around a little bit since we're waiting for Mary to be able to talk and Nick to communicate on that. And I'm just going to move to the 3rd item because this is personally what I'm going to do with that reef net boat. From my perspective, you can tell me if I'm out to lunch on that. There is so much that everybody wants to do that is like government in regards to legalities and protection thereof, that the price becomes so astronomical. I don't know that it would ever be attainable. And so I would like to formally withdraw the offer to even do that within this group, to remove any liability on LIFAC or LICA or this group. So you don't have to be concerned about anything about making a temporary dock, because I don't want you guys to be burdened with anything that would cause you uncomfortableness or anything like that. That way we don't, in this group, have to deal with that thought anymore whatsoever. But I'm
Yeah.
open to your opinions. I just thought I would throw that out there and say, from my perspective, I would rather just remove it so we don't have to even be concerned about it.
That's
But what do you think?
that's an interesting idea. I mean, it's not a burden on Leica per se, because we haven't. We are an advisory group. That's all we are at this point. So I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, you could probably move things ahead faster if you just did it privately. But you know, to still keep us in the loop is the way I look at it.
Yeah, I guess, Chris, I would just say, when we talked about these two goals earlier, I think the clear goal for this committee is to getting a permanent document, right? That's the long-term objective. But we also want to address the emergent need, short-term. And so I think including it as part of the committee, it was good in that we can gather data, we can help, dig into the issues. But, and I think I expressed some concerns about this earlier, right? Does this compromise our potential ability to achieve the long-term objective, right? Just because it brings up a whole raft of other issues that really are separable, I think, from a recreational dock. So I appreciate your intent in in the motion to withdraw. But if you still need research input, whatever,
Volunteers.
yeah, happy to do it. Because I think we all understand the need. That's why we put it in as our short-term goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And I don't think that goal goes away.
right.
It's just a little bit of a gap.
Mhm.
Well,
between
and
the
I
two.
think if you said because I think from the beginning, one of the values I've seen from the committee is a group of people who is committed to helping to coordinate. So saying, listen, these are the resources we have. This is what happens when there is an outage. Here's are all the people who really should be, someone should be communicating with. Like we shouldn't have service people who are sleeping in their cars if that's really what happened. So to me, it's like you can have a group of people who say, listen, we want an organized response to an outage instead of just good luck. I hope it works out for you.
Yeah.
One of those responses is when you say, let's organize boat captains who have a solution, and then say, we wouldn't suggest a solution we thought was dangerous. We're not going to be putting people in kayaks and having them, but if we have captains who have a solution that works for who it works for, then it's on the list of, notifying those people and saying, can you be available in this particular case? And so I think that you just say, listen, this is we contact captains and the captain has the solution they have. So, but we don't have
Are
to.
you suggesting that we keep like an emergency response plan as part of this committee and we just leave the mechanics, the details separate? Because I did see some of the things you wrote in the document that looked very, very good in terms of, mobilizing, communicating, implementing.
Yeah.
And that's a very useful activity for this group, I think.
Yeah, and even just your mentioning about them sleeping in the cars, I mean, that would be something that on a community level, we can say, hey, when these events occur, people who service the island, who are critical to us, and we don't want them to have a totally bad experience.
Yeah.
Hey, how many of you have a spare room that you're willing to use
Yeah.
for these people?
Yeah.
And if we have a formalized way of doing that, so we as an advisory group could come up with, hey, this is what we'd like to do, and then LICA can potentially on the community level implement that.
And along with the conversation we've been having about ICS and such, I did talk to the commissioners, and Dan Ohms is now one of our new commissioners coming on. And I asked them to put on the agenda for this next meeting, a discussion of going on behalf of Islanders and the fire department and requesting something be done more immediate at the existing ferry dock. And we'll see where that goes. I know the commissioners like the idea of having some other choices than what we have right now. So I think they're going to go a long ways in helping move that aspect of it forward, a different avenue than the reef net boat, obviously, but one that might have some power behind it. I'm hoping, so But I think that would work well, Lane, with what you're talking about, any type of organized structure. The fire department wants it organized, wants it, put in good order. So that'll help everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll keep pursuing that and give you updates as I get them
Awesome.
on that aspect.
Okay. Sounds
Mary,
good.
where are you at? Are you ready to talk yet?
Not
Evidently
yet.
not. That's okay.
Nope.
Don't feel pressured. Let's just go ahead while we're waiting for them is talk a little bit about what we mentioned in the last meeting as well, is getting some of the pictures of the docks around the San Juan Islands combined, get some different views of different ways of doing it. Have we made any progress on that, Lane? I think you guys are gonna.
I'm sorry, no, I was, I'd forgotten. We went off to Seattle to the boat, not boat show. What was that? Car show. This weekend. So I had started some pictures, but I was hoping maybe Mary and I could coordinate some time to meet this week. And I wasn't sure, Alan, someone else I thought had said to help with that. That'd be great. And do you feel like with Terry that what she was looking at is for us to say, we've looked at other islands and we have seen these options. And also this is a way for us to say to other islanders, when we're talking public dock, we are talking kind of this, maybe not this, so that they have some samples to see, so that for people who don't know what it means, I don't know, what is a floating dock? What do you mean? And what would one look like?
Yeah.
That's it.
I know Terry did suggest that whatever we do needs to be quality, professional, like 360 aerial views if possible of the area that's going to be done, even being able to incorporate our own mock-ups. If we have somebody who's good technically with computer stuff and can morph pictures of docks together and make it look presentable, she goes, the more, she has a good visual of it, helps the whole process. So a
Right.
very good visual of different ways that we could do it, whether it's just complete straight system, whether it's a straight system with a curve to the north or to the south. Really, I think those are about our only options. But I mean, we could go bigger and do multiple slips, but that's different ways we could do it.
Yeah.
But a step for sure is high quality pictures, being able to do a 360, have aerial views, all that kind of stuff. We need to get going on that. And for me, it would take me 10,000 years. So I need somebody that's good at it, not me.
Well, we should definitely talk to Ed Lowe,
Oh, yeah.
and see if he would be willing to assist that. And there are other people on the island that can do that kind of thing. And we do know a couple of people that have technical skills with computers. But yeah, I think what she's asking for is she needs a good polished presentation for the cell.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the information that we already have on the web page, the reference documents that we have from Sinclair Island, are probably a good. The draft doc, I think that's the one that has it. Let me pull it up here.
Oh, the concept diagrams. It's
Yes,
just that
the
theirs
concept
were
diagram.
after engineers had done all that work.
Well, yeah, but I'm not above borrowing concepts.
Oh, well, sure.
Yeah, and that's
Good
what I'm
point.
talking about.
We
We
could
can,
say,
even
yeah.
though we don't have the professional done and stuff, because that county paid for that,
Yeah.
we can use those documents to dummy up some stuff and reference it to our particular situation. So we've actually got a leg up because there's already an island that's been working on this. And I said, let's borrow what we can and just morph it into what we need.
Yeah, and Alan, those projects were funded, right? So
Yes.
we're modeling
Yes.
after success.
Well, the initial study was funded.
Right.
The actual construction is not yet. That's the point they're at right now.
Okay, yeah.
Want me to take roads? Sure. Okay.
Okay, that's Mary on audio.
We're down at the boat trying to get the dog transferred now. Come on, girl.
Well, focus on that. We're hanging in there.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making time, Mary.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm just looking at this this particular thing that they did for the island. It's not that difficult if we could get Ed Lowe or somebody to give us a good down shot of the area that we're talking about, for me to put into that photo some drawing. And if we could get that photo at a low tide, as low as possible, like I wish we had done this, you know, when we had the minus zeros. That would be doable. Because it's not that complex a drawing that they're doing,
That's true.
and we would be doing it as a concept, possible concepts.
So, and one question I had, I realized I wasn't sure if we had officially decided, would we recommend that this dock stay in the water all year, or what would we recommend?
I think that comes down to funding.
So have a preference and then say.
Yeah. Plan A, Plan B, based on funding.
There is a picture on Google that I found of one somewhere in the San Juans that the dock actually does lift up out of the water.
Yeah,
To me, that's the ideal because it's going to provide the longest serviceability for anything that
Yep.
goes on that side of the island where it's at. And,
Mhm.
and anyone that, you know, part of the Parks Department that would deal with this understands the conditions there and know from their other areas where they have docks, what'll need to be done. But
Yeah.
yeah, obviously we need something that we can protect as much as possible, but both concepts for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. I have talked in the past with Ed Lowe, and he's helped us with some other stuff. I will get a hold of him and talk to him about that possibility of doing some aerials for us,
Okay.
to put me on the task list for that.
got it.
Okay. So Alan, you're gonna take care of talking to Ed.
If
Okay, Nick?
if you can hear me,
Yep.
I can kind of hear you guys. Sorry, I'm driving here, but if we get some good aerial photographs from Ed Lowe, I'm happy to assist with compiling some mock-up drawings, and I do have some experience in doing three-dimensional CAD work as well.
Wow.
Good.
I've used Google Maps in the past to overlay a three-dimensional drawing to give some sort of aspect ratios and
Mhm.
kind of good definition to design plans. So yeah, I'm happy to hop on with providing some sort of presentable ideas. And I'm also all for having some community feedback as far as what kind of designs the community is looking for.
Fantastic. So Nick will add you along with Alan on that task. You guys can communicate together on that.
Yeah,
We
Nick,
also have another gentleman, Michael Godshall. He's new in the fire department.
Hmm.
I don't know if he's a professional movie maker, but if he's not, he's probably pretty close to it. He made the video of our fire truck. He also has a drone and has some editing skills. So he might be someone we can reach out to as well as Ed.
Mhm.
Just a name I'm throwing out there.
yeah, Chris,
So-
can you send me his name and contact information if you have it?
I will. I'd be happy to. All right, Mary, you look like you're ready.
I am. I'm on the boat. It's dry. So, yeah. Yeah, Lane, I'll be glad to get together with you after Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because I've got cataract surgery tomorrow morning, and then I have to go in for a follow-up appointment the following day. But I should be able to get together and we can do some dock looking and stuff like that.
That would be
So-
great.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
Thursday.
Yeah, can you, I can find your phone number in the new phone book. That would be great. So,
I'm not, oh, actually, we're not in it yet because we just moved. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
send it
Yeah.
to you, but
yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you email me your phone number then?
I'll do that.
Okay. And then I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting, but
Well, somebody
So-
remembered to record it, so you can go back and watch it.
yeah, that's good. I remembered to turn it on to record, so it's going. I sent a document. Alan, did you get the document with the financial cost of the outage?
It's from you to my main account.
I think it's to the admin account.
Oh, hold on, let me go look.
I hope it went to the admin account.
Um,
I sent it earlier today.
I'm not seeing it in the admin account. Let me go look at the other one.
Okay.
I'm in there, so keep talking.
Okay, well, yeah, so has anyone, Dave, did you kind of update people on the meeting, and Lane was at the meeting too?
Yes,
So-
just briefly, we did, Mary. Chris listened to the recording.
Mhm.
But, and I said that, I gave kind of an overview of the committee's goals, and then you had a very nice presentation at the end, and we didn't get into that. So maybe
Okay,
talk about your portion there.
okay, yeah, no, and my takes on the meeting, and I'm working on a document that kind of just had, that I'm gonna go ahead and send out to LIFAC. And I'll put it on in our website too, in our document list. But I've been having hard times working at my computer for very long because my eyes are still kind of funky. So hopefully tomorrow it will resolve itself. But the huge takeaway that I had was that the county really felt like they did a really wonderful job of getting the ferry online. And, Rich said it took only 5.5 hours to get the docks deployed and stuff like that. And in my comments at the end of the meeting, I said, well, that's not necessarily totally the whole picture, because if it takes it took 5.5 hours to get the passenger only ferry running after it was determined that the engine had really failed and that they were going to have to take the boat out of service for a long period of time. But the actual time of the outage was more like about closer to 8 hours when you take that diagnostic time and stuff like that in. And
Yep.
so I pointed that out, and I did not try to make them feel bad, small or anything, because I think that they did do a lot of good things about communicating better this time with people. I brought up the fact that I felt like they didn't communicate very well to the people that were stranded over on the other side of the pond, there was nobody assigned to do that. And I kind of started thinking about that. it would have been, they had to make a sign anyway, so it could have, they could have put on their sign for outage update information, go to, and then have just an outage website or something, so that people that
Mhm.
drive up could have at least, got a little bit more education, and they could have
Yep.
just posted on that website, like the parking plan. So that people that are, okay, well, where do I stick my car? Where can I stick my car if I'm not used to living on the island? So those were just some suggestions that I thought would be, the county could have done better on. They could have done a whole lot better, I think, on response time. I think they did as good as they could with the system that they have. But I wasn't super impressed with the length of time that people were without ferry service. I'm hopeful that I didn't hear that there were any emergencies or anything. I did hear, and then the other thing that I brought up is that there is a sorely lacking a plan to deal with people that are caught on the island. Those contractors, that their trucks over there, that's like bread and butter. They lost like a half a day of afternoon calls and all day on Friday. And
Yep.
and also I heard from somebody in the Islander that there was a guy with a hot tub that ended up sleeping in his truck that night. And I just that's really tough. And, and so I heard you talking, Lane, about getting, I think the island does need to have a better response plan to take care of those folks that take care of us. And so I brought that up, and I also feel like we need to have better access for getting people on and off the island in the event of an outage. So those are my takeaways. The main thing that's in the document that I sent to Alan is that the cost for the outage was close to $20,000 to deploy the foot ferry, all the bridge workers and stuff like that, and the bridge crews, the rental from the shop, for the sign crews. So it was close to 20,000 was the total cost for just deploying the passenger only ferry. Of that, 11,000 something was the cost of the ferry. The rest of it was incidental setup fees. So, and that doc will be on the website if it's not, and Alan, if you can't find it,
I can't find it.
Okay,
I can't
then
find it.
I will hook my computer up to the phone and try to hotspot it over to you later tonight. But
Okay.
I have that document, and I also have the website link for Island Express. That's that high-speed catamaran.
Mhm.
I found out what their cost is, and it is a little bit steep. It's like $550 per hour for the 34 passenger landing craft. And then their 22 passenger landing craft, I think, is like $425 per hour. So it is. And I shared that with Rich. He thought it was pretty high. And he proceeded to tell me that the Salish Seas contract still has another 2 years on it. So I don't know.
Mary, one thing I think that you did a nice job of pointing out, and we can debate how fast the response was of getting passenger ferry dock configured and all that. But I think you said something to the effect that you've been on the island for 18 years and that's only the second time you've seen the passenger ferry implemented. Right?
Yes, yes.
That leaves a huge gap of outages with no service, right?
Yes, of hours and outages with no service, exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we've had outages that have lasted overnight now with no service. And it's not acceptable. It might have been acceptable, but it really isn't. So I think, I kind of really think that our next plan is that we should start coming up with a poll of the people on the island who have been impacted by the outages. I was kind of disappointed because I had some people that I had invited to come to the meeting and nobody else came up and spoke on that. And it was kind of like, okay, oh, well.
Well, I thought about it, but it was kind of hard because the meeting had gone on for a while and I can tell from
Yes.
the statements that people maybe weren't wanting to hang around too much longer. But to tell you the truth,
Yes.
one thing that I put on our Google Doc, and I will write up, is that, so this happened on Friday, basically, and the
It
trucks were
was
stopped.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, the trucks got stuck. The last ferry off the island left at noon.
Okay, so Monday, we go to the ferry and we couldn't get on the 920 because the trucks were finally getting back on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just, when you say it was only an 8-hour outage or whatever, it's like, realistically speaking, the residual effect
Oh, yeah.
of this is not you can't just look at your watch and say, okay, everything's back to normal now.
No, that was when passenger service was implemented. So people could get off the island. The county could get people back home and people could get off the island, but they had to leave their vehicles here.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, and like, there were like, when I came home on Friday, I was looking at I didn't come home until like Friday, probably around 4 o'clock or so. And I was just looking at all of the trucks that were parked around, and I noticed like 3 trucks from Barron's.
Yeah.
There was a truck that had a hot tub on the back of it. There was a couple of electrical contractors.
Yes.
There were, and when you work as a field service technician, your truck is your office. It's your bread and butter. I did that for about 10 years in my past. And that is, to not have your truck and all of your parts, all of your tools, you just basically can't work. And you have to cancel all of your appointments with all of your customers. That's a real big thing. And I don't know if we should approach like Barron's or one of the big service companies that are here frequently, and ask them what the cost of that outage was for them. But I don't know if that's like kicking a hornet's nest or what, but.
Well, and that's one of the things when I was talking earlier about, Rich is the one who brought up, the realities of living on the island and the realities of doing business on the island is that we want you to do business with us, but we also owe it to you to be frank about some of the limitations. And if those companies, I'd like to have those companies have the opportunity to make their own impact statements.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to just assume bigger companies, Barron's is not going to just stop doing business out here, but it's a pretty significant including, I mean, all the delivery trucks, I mean, everybody, right?
Yeah,
that, you do wonder how to ask in a, please, 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 please still keep coming out here, but also be honest about it ain't easy. You know, so we have to think about that, I guess. We don't want to suddenly get the name. That was a committee that drove all the service people to never come out here again.
yeah, no, we don't want that, but I think it would be, I think that in presenting our case to the county for the need for an alternate, you know, I even have I've even added there's a motorized barge called Pintail that operates out of Friday Harbor that, you know, could transport cars back and forth. But I don't know how well of a fit it would have with the ferry ramp, but that could also be something, I don't know. If something like that happened, at least the county could contact, or somebody could contact, so that some of those guys could have gotten their cars off. I don't know. That I thought was really, really poignant, and I hadn't heard anybody really addressing that.
Yeah.
Do you guys
one of
think
the-
that information would be good for both cases as well as the Parks Department arguing, hey, listen, we have these folks that need to get off island as well? Would you think that would bolster our case for a public dock as well?
I think it could. I think it wouldn't. It wouldn't help the people that need to get off the island, get their trucks off the island, because I don't think the public dock would have the ability to have a way to get cars off. But you could have like a landing craft or a motorized barge, possibly like Pintail. And I put it on that email I tried to send Alan. I hope I might not have hit the send button. I don't know. But that possibly looks like it might be high enough that it could, you know, bridge the gap between the ferry ramp and the barge itself. And it wouldn't be able to move cars fast, but it could be, you know, it could move cars that had an urgent need to get off.
If I
I
can-
was referring to the fact of financial loss.
Right, yeah, I wanted to cover that too. I think we should get every piece of information we can. Whether we use it or not is another subject.
Good point.
Okay,
But the more granular the data we have and the more data we have, the better we have things to work from. And I think that's a very good, valid thing to ask those companies. It shows that we also care. And it's part of the economic impact statement of this situation. And the other thing that when we're talking about the outage is from that when the ferry first goes down till it's all the way back up and all the dust is cleared. And we need to document that timeline well, because, you know, we had the 5 hours of getting the passenger ferry set up. Well, guess what? We were also down again for another 5 hours for them taking it away
exactly.
and resetting back to the Whatcom Jeep. That
Yes.
time needs to be part of the equation.
Yep. No, I totally agree.
Okay, so from here, we're talking about good stuff, but we need to now focus on getting an assignment of responsibilities for moving forward, I think. You know, we're all in agreement on all the details of how things have been going. We've got Alan and Nick working on the presentation, putting that together. The 7 steps or the 7 things that we need to flush out now. I know a lot of it is wording. Is someone able to pick some of these numbers and start going through it? Can you bring that up, Alan? Is that possible to bring up that get her done list I did?
No, because I'm on the
Okay.
phone.
I can bring it up.
All right. Anybody?
I can bring it up.
I know you'll do it faster than I will. So it's like, may as well have somebody else bring it up.
Oh, it says, Mary, are you able to add screen sharing?
Let me see if I can do it from my phone. Oh, I thought I had that set up so participants could share screen.
While you're looking for that, how do we gather this information? Are we just gonna each individually pick a company and call? Do we want to put out something on Nextdoor asking for, a call from these companies? What do you guys think?
I think we need to assemble a list before we start calling. And then we need to have a consistent format of the questions that we want to ask. You just don't want a free for all of just asking different information from different companies by different people.
Okay.
I would say, priority wise, I would say it might be better for us to choose some of the other. We're going to have some, I think, draft statements, pre-draft statements, things for Terry. I think maybe to have the first, let's identify maybe the bare minimum of what we need to do. And maybe if we whittle away at those, Chris,
Okay.
then that'll give us some time. I am a little concerned. I don't want us to, like I say, suddenly be those people who did kick over the hornet's nest. So I think we want to ponder the reaching out to service
Lane, you
companies.
should be able to share now.
Okay, great, thank you. But I think if we, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share everything. Just give me a moment there. There we go. So if we look at the kind of the bare minimum, the who we are, the what is proposed, and we're working on that from what is proposed and what does it look like. So 2 and 4, I think, especially this week, see if we can start drafting some kinds of things there. So then we can identify what we're missing. We have a committee working on the why. I have no idea how to answer the when question.
As soon as possible.
Yes.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the stuff, don't we have like the group who we are? We've already kind of gone through that multiple times. That's something we could plug into this list and start refining it there. What is proposed? I mean, that's a pretty simple, straightforward. We've talked about it, right? Give some options there. So each one of them, I think we can add probably something to it anyways. And by next meeting, have a list that we can start going through and refining it. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. Maybe like the who we are. Would that be like a brief, like maybe 5 or 6 sentences about each of us, or is it more of like a who we are as a collective group?
I think it's more as the collective, and it's almost along the lines of what we have already for reason for the committee.
Yeah.
I'm just going to run back over here to my notes about the, okay, so the who. Yeah, I think the who we are is probably the island-wide.
Okay.
And I think the reasons, yeah, so look at the reason.
And this is where I would ask the question, is this somewhere that we want to get a list of islanders who are in support of a public dock and add that as in as who we are. Well, we're this group of islanders and there's so many of us, this number that we can provide. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be helpful once, yeah. So it might be helpful to start like, I don't know. I think collecting the stories and also just collecting. I don't know if it's, would it be signatures or?
We can do the poll because the poll would have, we can capture their name and address and stuff. They're typically going to want to know who it is, where they live, and maybe some thoughts. And
Okay.
that's easy, very easy for us to do. We're just setting up to do that for Life Act right now, in fact.
Okay,
For a poll, a forum type of thing that they're going to be doing again for the ferry name. It's easy to do.
okay.
So Lane, this is a lot of work and don't want to burden you with it all. How much are you able to take what we've already done and put it into those 7? Is that something that you're willing to do? Can you add some time to that, or do you need us to step in? Does somebody else need to do that?
Let me look at, I feel like right now, if Mary and I are going to meet, what we're going to be talking about is what does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Mary. So some examples of what it might look like. And I feel like, again, that needs to be somehow, that's what we're going to have to communicate to the islanders that.
Mhm.
So I have to think about how to do that, whether it's a web page that says,
Yeah, it might. It'll. I want to be in on that meeting because I can offer you alternatives
perfect.
and options. I can give you this is what we can do, and this is easy, or I can say this is what we can do, and this is the bear. But the site is already set up to do much more than you even see right now.
Yeah, because I understand the wanting to get something in front of somebody, but I feel like we have a little more incubation time ourselves, Chris, because I think by the time when we do
Okay.
this, I want us to all feel very confident about it. And I think it's going to take us a little bit more time to say, okay, what if this was new to you, you were an islander, because the first thing we need to do is get their buy-in, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to need that time to say, let's try to present the who we are, benefits, and what would it look like, so that we have a way of saying, okay, now I can go to other people. I can say, let's, one of the reasons I had that long document on the webpage about all the resources in town in terms of not just people who could help once we were actually at the point of deployment, but also these are our opportunities to have a kind of opportunity for a forum. So let's say that you said, okay, the Grange is a great resource for as a meeting place, but it's also a good place to publicize things. So if the Grange was willing at one of their meetings to say, hey, we want to just have folks from the committee come by and kind of get an idea, it gives you an idea of what we're looking at. I think in the end, it would behoove us to take the time up front to do that, instead of people feeling like, wait a minute, you've already gone to Terry and said, here, we got to do this, and we didn't have a chance to look at it.
Right. Yeah, we got to be real careful of that, because that can just talk about a hornet's nest. But we need to not rush things, in my mind. We need to have a really good, crystal clear, easy to understand presentation, a sell of the concept when we ask the island community is this something that you'll back, that you want? And this is these are the reasons. Now here's the solution that we think. Are you in favor of this or not? And you have to be careful on how you present things, make it crystal clear. Because if you don't, and we don't make a good showing out of the box, you lose credibility. So you have to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreement on all of that. So let's come back to, we've got the 7 things that we got to start flushing out. Who's going to enter what we can, knowing that there's stuff further out that we're not going to do right now, but we need to start putting something in under number 1, under number 2. Who can take what we have already, enter it in there?
Well, what I could do is kind of flesh it out to at least so we can all look at it and say, okay, this is what we do have and this is where the gaps are. And then
Perfect.
that helps us prioritize too, because some of them wouldn't take us long, but some of them we could come up with, again, we could come up with these great suggestions and then find out, run it by Islanders and have them have a big hate on for it.
Yeah.
So I think here's what we have. Should we do a small focus group? Can we get an opportunity to present this to a smaller subset of people to see, send the sanity check of, we've been doing this for a number of weeks. If you had not, and you were hearing this for the first time, how would that fall?
This is a comment. The Public Doc Advisory Committee webpage is getting a lot of traffic.
Is it good news, bad news? Okay.
So people are paying attention. We just don't know who.
I know a couple of them because they've talked to me. So they said that they're following diligently and
Yeah, which is a good thing.
want to know
Which is a
more.
good
So
thing.
it's like, all right.
Yep.
All right. So we know we can start filling out those 7 steps, start flushing that out. When we come together next week, then we'll see where we're at with the process of getting someone secured for having some concepts done up. Alan, Nick, what do you guys think time frame wise? How long do you think something like that will take?
I think that's going to, in my personal opinion, I think we need a starting point, and I think a starting point is we need an aerial. We need aerials
Okay.
to work from. And if Nick can do 3D stuff, wonderful. I have everything in the world except that. I could do it, but I'm not set up for it. But I can overlay stuff. He can obviously overlay stuff. So we need to, step 1, I think, is going to be, when we talk to Ed and see if he can do it. And that's going to depend on the weather. We've tried for 2 years now to get good pictures of the passenger ferry in progress, and we've been out to lunch both times because of the weather. And we're in November, so weather's not always our friend.
Yeah.
So I would be hesitant to. I'm not one to put time constraints on something that have so many variables going into them.
Okay.
It's just something we have to just pick away at.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing though, I do know that Ed may have some stock footage
Yes.
that,
Yep.
and the other person that has been shooting aerials along the island is Robert Keller.
Yes.
So we could possibly just inquire if they might have some stock footage that they have taken of that area.
Well, we're looking for 2 things. We're looking for stock footage for presentation, and then we're looking for photos that we can overlay on,
Right.
like I did with the tax assessor stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, but that we can start moving forward. Like I will call Ed. I'll try to get a hold of him. I hate calling people on Mondays. I might try Monday afternoon, but definitely Tuesday to get a hold of Ed. I try to avoid trying to talk to people on Mondays. Just it's a bad day. But we can do that. We can definitely, the three of us can get together and I can talk about possibilities
Mhm.
in presentation stuff to the public
Yeah.
using the community website. That's an easy.
Okay.
And then we can also get together and do the field trip stuff for the other islands and get the photos like I would need them, that I would know how we need them for presentation work, website work, and then also overlaying our own thoughts onto them.
Mhm.
So we can do that. And that's all stuff I think we can do in the next 2 weeks. However, we also have to remember that we are in the holiday season.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we have
And-
some family coming, so after next
Yeah.
week, yeah, I'll take a lot of Thanksgiving week off.
Yeah. So I would not push for any major results until after the end of November. We can work on this stuff, I think, in the meantime, but I wouldn't push for like a flat deadline on anything
Okay.
because of the holiday season.
Yeah, and I will be traveling for the whole month of December. I'll be off island, but I will be available to do work and stuff like that. So I'm not out of the picture or anything, but I won't be able to do anything on island. I'm gonna be down in Southern California with my mom.
And we lost Nick, I realized.
Hmm.
So I did not notice when, at what time
Well, let's hope
exactly.
we
You
get her
want
back.
to
I think
stop
he
your
got-
screen share?
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, so what else do we need to cover tonight then? Are we going to try to meet next week with going through the 7, what we have available to get done, or no? What's your guys' thought?
I'm okay for meeting, and I want to know when, if at all, you want to start meeting in
Person.
in the Hanson room, because that takes me time to set that up. Because we could do a small groups in there without any problem, and we have video. We can do video. We can do everything there. But if you want to do that, I need time to set that up. But that's the only thing I have.
I'm flexible either way. I'm happy this way. I'm happy meeting in
Okay.
person. So whatever you guys want, I'm all for.
I'm okay meeting in person if everybody else is vaccinated. I do not want to meet in the Hanson room with anybody that is not vaccinated. So,
That's actually a stipulation of use of the room.
okay. But yeah, I'm unwilling to do that.
That's all right. Well, we can keep doing it this way. It's also that we can also bounce back and forth on our own computers and screen share this way too.
Yeah, I
So,
do like
that's not-
the
not-
ability of this for sure.
So
Okay, well, let's just plan on next Sunday meeting again. We'll work on getting those 7 steps fleshed out, answering as best we can. Then we can start refining next Sunday what we can do, knowing that there's things that are going to be farther out, especially with holidays, as you guys already said.
Yep.
And Mary, I don't know if you heard earlier, I am working with the commissioners at the fire hall on the emergent need of something sooner at the ferry dock, hoping that their position as commissioners of the fire district will have some pull with the county. I don't know, but I think that's our best opportunity. The most oomph is behind them compared to any citizenry. We
Yep.
could all have a vote on the island, 1,000 of us, and say, we want it now. And the
And-
county is going to say, well, we appreciate that's what you want, but
yeah,
we're not doing that. I think
Yeah.
the commissioners will have some pull, I hope.
Yeah.
So,
EMS is always a hot ticket item for them. So,
You bet.
That's
yeah,
what I hope.
it's a good plan.
And
Um,
and the reality is, almost any of the urgent situations we've looked at could turn into an
Yes.
emergency. So
Yep.
it
Very
just,
quickly.
that makes a lot of
Yep.
sense. And I will go ahead and send out, I was holding off on sending the message about, other folks on the committee who had experience with emergency response. But I'll go ahead
Yeah.
and do that this week, and then the next couple of weeks, have a
Mhm.
chance to
Yeah.
look through some
Yeah.
of that and think about how we do have a lot of resources on the island. And I just think that part of our mission is to, be recruiting those people and getting them to have a real favorable attitude about this is an organized. Yeah, this is not kind of a fly by night operation. This is organized, and that you'd have a place to go and say, oh, okay, the ferry is out and now I need to know about X. And there would be sort of a team who would be saying, yeah, we're coordinating
Yeah.
that. And I think that would be a big benefit.
Dave?
Lane,
Yeah, I would just want to say, Lane, is if you start drafting up this 7 steps and you want some feedback, you want to email that around,
Right.
I'm happy to help write, do whatever I can to support it.
Thank you.
And I think, as Alan mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were on then, Mary, but using the Sinclair project as a kind of a template may be a good way to go, because
Yeah,
detailed and successful, at least at the funding the engineering portion of it. So
yeah.
view that document again, Lane, and maybe we can help kind of shape up the write-up of.
Yeah. I
Right.
have to admit, in my little world, I usually would go to the PowerPoint first, because it was kind of like, what are people seeing
Yeah,
is probably more significant than what are they reading.
yes.
So I think to
Yeah.
launch
them.
from that perspective is helpful for people to
Mhm.
kind of get it's also the flow. It's, would it make sense to talk about this now or later? So,
Yeah.
and with slides, you can move them around super easily.
Right, and we're gonna need both, so that's a good point, and that'll get the meat of it down.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, and Lane, I wanted to, I think I have your phone number.
Yeah, I'll give it
I-
to you.
No, I think I have it, but I can't check because I'm on the phone. But I did set up a contact for you. But I do want to get, what is a good time to talk with you, maybe on Monday?
Yeah,
If you're available?
yeah.
What would be a good time?
Anytime,
Anything-
we're gonna go into
after-
town probably noon, so anytime after 8.
Oh, okay. Well, for me, it would be after 10.
Then after
So
10.
between 10 and
Between
noon?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't do before 10 well.
You sound like Greg
Okay, so
Hall.
5
didn't-
o'clock is
didn't-
off the table, is that what you're telling me?
I didn't do 11:30 well today because I was up till 5 in the morning working on the discussion section of the website.
Wow.
So yeah, I got a
Wow.
lot of long nights on that.
Well, it is beautiful. I tell you, it is.
Yeah,
It's
the
good.
website's phenomenal, Alan. Thank you for
Super.
all your work on
Yeah,
that.
he wanted to pass on. He was super impressed because could see, he said, the benefit of having that as a communication
Yeah.
organization, get the word out is major.
And no ads. Anyway,
Anything else tonight, you guys?
okay.
Wonderful. Enjoy spending time with you all. Appreciate all your work, and thanks for letting me
Thank
be a
you
part of it
to
too.
everybody. Yeah, thank you super for everybody and all the amount of work that people are doing. It is, I think we are making progress.
We are.
Yeah.
So we're doing actually a far better and faster than I had initially expected, because as it turns out, we have a lot of data available to us. A lot of stuff has been coming in the door, and it's being kept track of. Lane is doing a wonderful job on the Google Doc.
Mhm.
Everything it's starting to flow. So it's really, really looking good.
All right, I'm going to say goodnight to y'all. Thank
Okay,
you.
guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Good night,
Stay
everyone.
safe, guys.
Bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.